In the small town of Taos, New Mexico, some people hear a sound that others can't. It's a low-frequency hum, like a diesel engine idling in the distance. It never stops. Day and night, it drones on. People who hear it describe it as maddening. Some can't sleep. Others moved away to escape it. But here's the strange part. Recording equipment can't detect it. This is the Taos hum, and it's one of the most documented unexplained phenomena in the world. Scientists have studied it. The government investigated it. But nobody can explain what it is or why only certain people hear it. Today, we're going to explore what we know about this mysterious sound and the theories that might explain it. Let me start with when this began. Reports of the Taos hum started in the early 1990s. Residents of Taos began complaining to local authorities about a persistent, low-frequency noise. They said it was worse at night. It was louder indoors than outdoors, and it seemed to vibrate through buildings rather than travel through air. About 2% of the population in Taos could hear it. The rest heard nothing. This pattern confused investigators. If the sound was real and coming from an external source, everyone should be able to hear it, at least with sensitive equipment. But acoustic measurements showed nothing unusual. The University of New Mexico sent a team to investigate. They surveyed residents. They took acoustic readings. They mapped where people heard the hum. They found the reports were consistent, but the source was not detectable with standard equipment. Congress even got involved. In 1993, they directed scientists and observers from some of the most prestigious research institutes in the nation to investigate. Teams came from Los Alamos National Laboratory, Sandia National Laboratories, the University of New Mexico, and other institutions. They conducted extensive studies. They set up sensitive microphones and seismographs. They interviewed hundreds of people who heard the hum. They analyzed the data. Their conclusion: the hum is real to those who hear it, but its source cannot be determined with current methods. Here's what makes this particularly strange. The hum is not unique to Taos. Similar hums have been reported in dozens of locations around the world. Bristol, England has one. Windsor, Ontario has one. Kokomo, Indiana has one. The pattern is always the same: a low-frequency hum that only some people can hear and that equipment can't reliably detect. People who hear these hums describe them in similar ways: low frequency, between 30 and 80 hertz, louder indoors, especially in concrete buildings, more noticeable at night when ambient noise is lower, sometimes accompanied by vibration sensations, more prominent in rural and suburban areas than cities. The experience is not pleasant. People who hear the hum report sleep deprivation, stress, anxiety, and in some cases, serious mental health impacts. Some have moved away from affected areas. Others have taken extreme measures to block the sound, including soundproofing their homes or wearing earplugs constantly. But earplugs don't always work. Some people say they still hear the hum even with their ears blocked. This suggests the sound might not be entering through the ear canal in the normal way. It might be transmitted through bone conduction or perceived directly by the brain. Now let's look at the theories. There are many, ranging from mundane to exotic. Theory 1. Industrial sources. Some hums have been traced to specific industrial equipment. The Kokomo hum was eventually linked to cooling fans at a factory. When the fans were modified, the hum stopped for some people. But this doesn't explain all hums. Taos has no major industry that could produce such a sound. Theory 2. Electrical infrastructure. Power lines, transformers, and electrical grids produce low-frequency electromagnetic fields. Some people might be sensitive to these fields. The fields could induce sounds directly in the auditory system without creating acoustic waves in the air. Research on electromagnetic hypersensitivity shows that some people react to electrical fields that others don't notice. These people report headaches, fatigue, and other symptoms when near electrical equipment. The hum might be an auditory manifestation of this sensitivity. Theory 3. Tinnitus. This is the most common skeptical explanation. Tinnitus is a condition where people hear sounds that aren't externally generated. It's usually caused by damage to the inner ear or auditory nerve. The brain creates phantom sounds trying to compensate for missing input. But tinnitus doesn't explain the geographic clustering. Why would tinnitus sufferers concentrate in specific towns? And why would the reported sound be so consistent in frequency and character? Tinnitus usually sounds like ringing, buzzing, or hissing, not a low-frequency hum. Eerie 4. Seismic activity. Low-frequency sounds can be generated by geological processes. Microseisms from ocean waves, tectonic plate movements, or underground water flow can create vibrations that some people perceive as sound. Research has shown that seismic activity produces sound below the normal hearing range. Most people can't hear these infrasonic frequencies, but some individuals might be sensitive to them. The sound could be at the edge of human hearing capability, audible only to those with unusual frequency sensitivity. Theory 5. Military or government sources. This is the conspiracy angle. Some believe the hum is caused by secret military projects, submarine communications, underground bases, or experimental weapons that emit low-frequency signals. A military does use extremely low-frequency ELF systems to communicate with submarines. These systems can penetrate water and rock. They operate at frequencies below normal hearing, but can sometimes be perceived as vibration or hum. Taos is not far from several military installations, lending some credibility to this theory. However, military ELF systems are well documented and their locations are known. None are near Taos, and this theory doesn't explain hums in other countries far from any military installations. Theory 6. Otoacoustic emissions. This is a less well-known but fascinating possibility. Your ears don't just receive sound, they also generate it. The outer hair cells in your inner ear vibrate and produce faint sounds. These are called otoacoustic emissions. Normally, these emissions are too quiet to hear, but in some people, they might be amplified or perceived more strongly. Changes in ear pressure, blood flow, or neural sensitivity could make these internal sounds audible. The hum might be coming from inside your own ear. This would explain why only certain people hear it, why equipment can't detect it, and why earplugs don't block it. The sound is internal, not external. Theory 7. Microwave auditory effect. This is where things get really interesting. In the 1960s, researchers discovered that pulsed microwaves can induce sound perception in humans. The microwaves cause rapid thermal expansion in brain tissue, creating pressure waves that the ear interprets as sound. The effect was studied extensively during the Cold War. Both American and Soviet researchers experimented with it. It's now known as the Frey effect, named after the scientist who first described it systematically. Could microwave radiation be causing the hum? It's possible, but unlikely. The effect requires specific pulse patterns and relatively high power. There's no known source of such radiation near Taos, but it demonstrates that sound can be induced in the brain without acoustic waves. Theory 8. Individual neurological differences. This is my favorite theory because it's based on solid science and explains many features of the phenomenon. People vary in their hearing sensitivity, especially at low frequencies. Some individuals can hear sounds that others can't, not because their ears are different, but because their brain processes frequency information differently. Studies show that the auditory cortex varies between individuals. Some people have enhanced sensitivity to specific frequency ranges. Low-frequency sensitivity in particular shows high individual variation. This could explain why only 2% of people hear the hum. The brain also has the ability to amplify weak signals. In quiet conditions, your auditory system increases its gain, making faint sounds louder. People who live in quiet areas might have more sensitive auditory systems that pick up sounds others filter out. This theory suggests the hum is a real external sound, but it's at the threshold of human hearing. Most people can't detect it because it's too faint or too low in frequency, but individuals with certain neurological characteristics can hear it clearly. What makes this theory strong is that it explains all the key features: geographic clustering, real environmental sources in those locations, individual variation, neurological differences in hearing sensitivity, detection difficulty. The sound is at the edge of equipment sensitivity and human hearing range. So what is actually making the sound? If we accept that it's a real but very faint low-frequency noise, what could produce it? Several possibilities exist. Resonance in buildings and infrastructure creates low-frequency vibrations. Wind passing over valleys and mountains produces infrasound. Underground water flow generates seismic vibrations. Atmospheric pressure changes create infrasonic waves. Any of these could produce sounds at the edge of human perception. The key insight is that we're surrounded by low-frequency sounds that most of us don't consciously hear. Our brains filter them out as irrelevant. But some people, for neurological or psychological reasons, can't filter them out. They hear the background noise that everyone else ignores. This has been demonstrated in laboratory settings. Researchers played very low-frequency sounds to subjects. Some people reported hearing nothing. Others heard a clear hum. The sound was the same for everyone, but perception varied dramatically. Stress and attention play a role too. Once you become aware of a sound, it's hard to ignore it. Your brain focuses on it. This is called attentional bias. People who hear the hum often become fixated on it, making it seem louder and more persistent than it might objectively be. This doesn't mean it's imaginary. The sound is real, but the psychological response amplifies it. Someone who hears the hum once might start listening for it constantly. The more they focus on it, the more prominent it becomes. This creates a feedback loop that makes the experience worse. So is the Taos hum solved? Not entirely. We don't have a definitive source, but we have good theories that explain most of the phenomenon. It's likely a combination of factors: real low-frequency environmental sounds, individual neurological sensitivity, and psychological amplification through attention and stress. What about the other hums around the world? Each one probably has a different specific source. The Bristol hum might come from industrial equipment. The Windsor hum was traced to blast furnaces on an island in the Detroit River. But the pattern is consistent: faint, low-frequency sounds that affect sensitive individuals. The lesson here is about perception. Reality is not objective. What you perceive depends on your individual neurology and psychology. Two people can stand in the same place and have completely different experiences. Neither is wrong. They're just perceiving different aspects of the same environment. This has implications beyond mysterious hums. It suggests that many unexplained experiences might be real perceptions of real phenomena that most people can't detect. Not everything that's real shows up on standard instruments. Not everything that affects humans is easily measurable. The people who hear the Taos hum are not crazy. They're not making it up. They're perceiving something real that others miss. Understanding this requires accepting that perception varies, that humans are sensitive to different things, and that the world contains phenomena at the edge of our detection capabilities. If you're someone who hears a persistent hum, you're not alone. Thousands of people around the world share this experience. Some have found ways to cope. White noise machines can mask it. Moving to different locations sometimes helps. Cognitive behavioral therapy can reduce the stress response even if the sound continues. The Taos hum remains a mystery in the sense that we can't point to a specific source and say, this is it. But it's less mysterious than it used to be. We understand better how it could exist, why some people hear it, and why it's so hard to detect. The mystery is not whether it's real. The mystery is exactly what's making the sound and why human perception varies so much. If this exploration of a mysterious sound that only some people can hear got you thinking about perception and reality, hit that like button and subscribe. We're investigating phenomena that challenge our assumptions about what's real and how we know what we know. Ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next investigation into experiences that are real but hard to explain. Drop a comment if you've ever heard an unexplained sound or experienced something others couldn't perceive. Your perception is valid even if it's unique.